On the last show that we did, we gave our top 3 MVPs. We all know that this is the midway point in the NFL. And I don't want to think about the back end because even though the back end is the most fun part about the NFL, it also, is kind of the sign that we are not going to have football on a Sunday. So I don't even want to think about that part, but I still have to enjoy it while it's here. So last show we did MVPs, and now it's time to hand out who we feel and who we deem to be coach of the year. Now, I would love to start this one off. My coach of the year so far, mid-season, midway point, would be Pete Carroll or Pete Carroll, however you want to pronounce his name. Golden Corral, Pete Carroll, it is what it is. He's open 24 hours. You can get all you can eat over there. Okay, Pete Carroll in Seattle, all you can eat, all you can feed, all you can't defeat because they've been playing well this year. And I got to give it to my mans right here because I had my doubts, although I sided with him with that whole Russell Wilson ordeal. Okay, I sided with Pete Carroll. I was on his side. I always thought Russell Wilson was overrated. And clear, that's evident and showing itself right now. But I said to myself, wait, hold up. With that being said, are we going to bottom out with Geno? Are we going to bottom out with Drew Lock? Are we really going to do that, man? You're 80 years old, bro. You're going to try to build this thing back up at the age of 80 to see it grow through? You know what I'm saying? To see what you did with Russell Wilson happen again? You ain't going to be here, bro. I don't know. But he said, you know what? I does this. I've been a winning coach in college, every level. NFL, I won a Super Bowl crying out loud. Okay? I can do it. And sure enough, the way how he resurrected Geno Smith's career, the journeyman, my man's played for every franchise in the NFL, bro. Okay? He literally resurrected his career at this point in time. Normally, after 3-4 years, if you don't got it, chances are you don't got it. Okay? You're not it. You're not the guy. But what he's done with Geno, that's coach of the year status right there, bro. Okay? Leading the league in completion percentage, the efficiency, the command of the offense. Everything is humming, okay, right now. And I got to give him credit for that. Now, also, you look at his draft class. I want to talk about the draft class specifically because I know the trendy way to go is look what he's done with Geno, which is remarkable. But we have to talk about this draft class, which is even more remarkable. I mean, the draft class features 6 players who are heavily involved in contributing on both sides of the ball. Left tackle, Charles Cross. Okay, don't cross him. Started the entire season. Okay, right tackle, Abe Lucas. Okay, 3rd rounder. Started the entire season. Running back, Kenneth Walker. 570 rushing yards on the year. Didn't even start. Okay, looking like the most explosive back in the league. Tariq Woolen. Kobe Bryant. Oh, Kobe Bryant? Woo! Okay, Kobe Bryant. Ball Maine. All contributors on the defense. It's one thing to draft right, which they did, and that's the combination of coach and GM. You got to give credit to the GM for that. But to coach them up, to coach who's on the football field and available to you is another thing. And that's exactly what he has been doing. So guess what? Pete Carroll, okay, or Carroll, however you want to pronounce his name, Pete Carroll is my coach of the year. The mic is yours, eh?
I like the way you say Pete Corral because, that's what he's doing. He's been corralling the whole team. He's in there. Basically, every one by one. It's all right. Who wants to get developed next? Who wants to get developed next? So I like that pick a lot. It was a great pick. For me, this was very tough. But, I have to stay with my gut and stay with how I feel. And I'm going with the New York Jets, Robert Saleh, coach of the year. When we talk about the first 10 games of the season, everyone anticipated the Jets to not even win 2 games. Nobody had them beating the team they beat. They were underdogs in almost every game that they have played, maybe except for one, or maybe they've been underdogs every game. I'm not too sure. But this team is electric the way Robert Saleh is getting into play. Their draft this year is literally the reason that they are winning football games. And Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens, Breece Hall before he got hurt, with that season-long injury. And then you have to look at what they have on the offensive line and what they don't have, actually, because they have 5 offensive linemen at one point on the injury reserve, and somehow, some way, are still 6-3 in the season so far, fighting for a first seed, which is crazy in their division. They're fighting for first place in that division, which is ridiculous. But you have to give nothing but kudos to Robert Saleh in a season where people thought all was lost once that schedule was released. I was even one that said, yeah, if we win 3 games in the first 10 weeks, I'll be shocked. We won 6 and 9, and I was elated. There's something that I didn't anticipate with the Jets team. I thought it would be a rebuilding year, another like just developing guys, making sure guys are back get to their peak, so then we can compete one year. And we see the abundance of running, whatever we're able to do. The way that this Jets team is able to run the football and then able to pass later. Zach Wilson, a guy who has some bad games, he's still developing. He's still not showcasing his ceiling just yet. Is able to not give away games. He's playing the safe route where he's able to make some pinpoint accurate passes, still move the chains, but not give as many turnovers to cost them wins. I know we saw a bad game against the Patriots, which was costly. We saw a different Zach Wilson, but before then we was winning 4 straight. With him not causing turnovers, him just being able to play the patient game, taking the time of possession away from teams. All of that is in the preaching of Robert Saleh, a guy who's very aggressive, a guy who's high energy, a guy who's been the leader of this locker room that the Jets have been missing since the Rex Ryan days. A guy who's a player coach, a guy who players want to play for and want to compete for. So I think Robert Saleh, he showcased a level of just urgency, and also LaFleur. His game calling, his play calling, sometimes are questionable, but has been the root of why the offense is able to move the ball. The reason why the passing game is top 10 in the NFL, apparently, according to stats, for Pro Football Reference. And the running game is, like I said, is just stout for me. So I would like to call Robert Saleh the coach of the year midway through this point.
I mean, look, I think for me, when you talk about these guys, Pete Carroll, Brian Dable, he's able. Right. Brian Table. Oh my God, Brian Table. I mean, Brian Table is what I mean.
He's my guy. He is the table. He's holding it down. He's the table.
He's holding the table down, right? He's not like the Buffalo Bills jumping through tables. Nah, he's holding the table up. Brian Dable is able. Brian Dable for president, y'all. I mean, he's my second guy. I would go with him number 2. The difference, one of the main differences for me is that Seattle is actually a top tier division right now, and that's remarkable, because if you told me that they was going to be the number 1 team in the conference, I would have laughed at you, because I thought they was trying to bottom out for CJ Stroud. I thought they was trying to bottom out for Bryce Young. But they actually right now are in the division lead, 1 game up against San Francisco. So yeah, I say, they're right there. The Giants, they're 3rd right now, but they're still in play. You can't go wrong with any of these guys. But I'm going with Pete Carroll.
No, absolutely. I think the Pete Carroll choice is a phenomenal choice. I think he's actually maybe in the lead to get that coach of the year, just because of what he's able to do with Geno Smith as quarterback, a quarterback who's already written off in the NFL, somebody that they didn't believe in. And I think when you look at Brian Dable, he's doing a fantastic job in that Giants organization, where they thought it was to be a catch, like a year where they will contend for a quarterback in that top draft, that top echelon. 1 through 5. They didn't anticipate them winning 6 games this early in the season, especially with Daniel Jones as quarterback. They ripped like another quarterback who's written off. They just took the right coach to get him to see things differently, to play good football, to make positive plays, opposed to just forcing negative plays or forcing things to happen and making high risk plays, low reward plays. So I think Brian Dable, he's showing what it means to really play quarterback in a system where enables the quarterback to make multiple reads and do what's best for him. And I think that's the 2 things that Pete Carroll, I keep saying Carroll now, Pete Carroll and Brian Dable's doing. For me, like I said, Robert Saleh faced all odds with this roster, with a bunch of young guys who had to really play tough. We got Quan Alexander and CJ Mosley, who are getting higher in age, but they're playing, great football. Dwayne Brown being signed, I think week 3 or week 4, I forgot when, but like having the older offensive linemen has really paid dividends for this team, because now you have leaders speaking up in that locker room and doing a lot of different things up front. Our offensive line is still shaky, still lets a lot of people through to get to the quarterback, but Zach Wilson's ability to just kind of speak up to his team as well, and also just evade defenders and not get sacked. There's a lot of different things that happen. So I think Robert Saleh, for me, he able this team. He kind of they bought into the system. He's getting this team ready and able to play in every week basis. They got the right coordinators in there, and Jeff Ulich and Mike LaFleur. So they got the guys there who really instill complex schemes, but the players are smart enough to grasp it and understand, because we have talent there. There's a lot of talent on his Jets organization. Robert Saleh knows it, he acknowledges it, and he preaches it every day. Like, don't take the foot off the gas. Keep pushing, no matter what. Just keep pushing, play aggressive, and keep playing the game that you could play at the level that you could play it at. But I think that's the similarities between these three coaches, because these three coaches in Pete Carroll, Brian Daboll, Robert Saleh all instill confidence in their players. They know they could make these plays happen, and they make sure that they apply pressure to them, not to take their confidence away, but to enhance their growth, enhance their play, because they know what they can do for this team.
I mean, I think when you look at specifically Brian Daboll and Robert Saleh, the New York coaches, I want to look at them specifically and compare the two, because, as much as we can give credit to Robert Saleh, he deserves to be in this category right now that we're talking about. I'm not sure that, from a personal standpoint, now a lot of people can say, Lil, that doesn't matter, kick rocks, fine, I'll take it, right? But I just don't like the way how they handled the Elijah Moore situation, in the sense that, not that they handled him requesting a trade wrong, they did well, right, with that, he's still on the team, but as far as not using him, involving him more in the offense, when you look at the Giants, they need any help they can get. The Jets right now are showing that they can afford to not have what I deem their best weapon on the field. They don't even have to use him, because they have a stout running game, because they believe in Garrett Wilson's abilities, right? Because they believe that they could use Zach Wilson's legs to create a play, right? On the Giants, it's Daniel Jones, it's Brian Daboll economizing what he has and using it, right? And he doesn't have a lot of weapons on the outside at the wide receivers position. All he has is a Saquon Barkley trying to prove himself, and Daniel Jones' legs. And the fact of the matter is, the fact that he's not turning the ball over and he's being fixed, because his development could have been shot. He's older than Zach Wilson. You could have a bad year if you're Zach Wilson. And last year, when you look at the second half, it wasn't terrible for Zach Wilson. So he can recover. And he is recovering from last year. But when you are in the league for like 3 seasons and now you have a new regime, you could be already done. The damage could already be done, but it's showing. And Brian Daboll, who's able, is showing that, okay, I can save this quarterback's career and use what he does well, which is scramble, and make value into that and create value off of that. And that's exactly why he's ahead of Robert Saleh for me.
Real quick, I just want to say this before we close out, that it's beautiful to see Seattle Giants and Jets head coaches being even considered and nominated for coach of the year. This is last year, we would have all laughed. Like, what? They considered last year. It's amazing how all these preseason articles were coming out and said, all right, well, there's going to be these teams, and one of them might have a breakout year. Giants, Seahawks, Jets. They mentioned the Lions at one point. Ironically, how the heck that 3 teams that weren't really anticipated to do anything this season are right now almost leading their respective divisions. It's interesting to see. I love it, and this is why football is right now number one, because it's ridiculous how things can just change in a matter of 1 year.
And as we get to this commercial break, the one comparison that I can make with these 3 guys is that their energy is infectious. We already know Pete Carroll, he's 80, right? He's not really 80, but he's 70, but he's 80, right? And he's out here moving and grooving. We already know Robert Saleh. We know that famous clip on the 49ers when they made that play defensively, and you saw the veins popping out his head. He was out there celebrating with the players. Also, Brian Daboll, how he was dancing after they beat the Tennessee Titans and he was getting down. Their energy is infectious. And I think it's transferring to the locker room, and it's transferring on the football field as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back after the break. We got to take.